Good morning, students. Today's topic is pH and acid base balance. pH is very important. Normal maintenance of pH is very important for normal functioning of our body. Hydrogen ion is present in all body compartments. Maintenance of proper concentration is important for normal function of body. Acid base balance or pH is maintained by a closely regulated mechanism. This involves body buffers, respiratory systems and kidney. Now some common terms that we will need in this chapter. pH. pH is negative logarithm of hydrogen ion concentration. Normal value is 7.4, range is 7.38 to 7.42. Acids are proton donors. Bases, these are proton acceptors. Strong acids, acids which ionize completely. Weak acids, acids which ionize incompletely. Alkali reserve, it is bicarbonate available to neutralize acids. Normal value is 22 to 28 millimole per liter. Buffers are solution that minimize changes in pH. Now what is dissociation constant? Dissociation of an acid is freely reversible reaction. At equilibrium, ratio between dissociated and undissociated particle is a constant. Dissociation constant is given by the formula Ka is equal to H plus into A minus by Ha. Here H plus is hydrogen ion concentration, A minus is concentration of anion or conjugate base, and Ha is the concentration of undissociated molecules. Now what is pK value? pK value is that pH at which acid is half ionized. pK of an acid is constant at particular temperature. Strong acids will have a low pK and weak acids will have a higher pK. Now acidity of a solution and pH. Acidity of a solution is measured by noting the hydrogen ion concentration in the solution, and it is given by the equation H plus is equal to Ka acid by base or Ha by A minus, where Ka is the dissociation constant. Now Sorensen expressed pH as negative logarithm of hydrogen ion concentration and is given by the formula pH is equal to minus log H, that is log 1 by H. Thus pH is inversely proportional to the acidity, or rather we can say with the hydrogen ion concentration. pH 7 indicates neutral pH. Now what is the effects of salt upon dissociation? Relationship between pH, pK, concentration of acid and conjugate base is expressed by Henderson-Hasselbalch equation. Equation is pH is equal to pKa plus log base by acid, or pH is equal to pKa plus log salt by acid. When base is equal to acid, that means pH will be is equal to pK. When concentration of base and acid is same, then pH will be is equal to pK. That means when acid is half ionized, then pH will be is equal to pK. Now buffers. What are buffers? Buffers are nothing but solution which can resist change in pH when acid or alkali are added. Composition of buffer. Buffer is the composition of mixture of weak acids with their salt with a strong base, or weak bases with their salt with a strong acid. Example is bicarbonate buffer. It is combination of carbonic acid and sodium bicarbonate. Acetate buffer. It is combination of acetic acid and Sodium acetate. Phosphate buffer, it is combination of disodium hydrogen phosphate and sodium dihydrogen phosphate. Now, next is factors affecting pH of a buffer. One is value of pK. Lower the value of pK, lower is the pH of the solution. Next is ratio of salt to acid concentration. Actual concentration of salt and acid in a buffer solution may vary widely with no change in pH as long as the ratio of the concentration remains the same. Next is factors affecting buffer capacity. Buffer capacity is determined by the actual concentration of salt and acid present as well as by their ratio. Now, buffering capacity. Number of grams of strong acids or alkali that is necessary for change in pH of 1 unit of 1 liter of buffer solution. Now, how this buffer acts? As we all know that buffer solution is contains weak acid or base and its salt. Suppose HCl or hydrochloric acid is added to a acetate buffer. What will happen? First, acetic acid when sodium hydroxide will react to form sodium acetate and water. Now this sodium acetate will react with HCl and convert it to a weak acid, that is acetic acid and its salt. One more thing that we should remember is that buffer is most effective when concentration of salt and acid are equal or when pH is equal to pK. Next is acid base balance. As we all know, normal pH is 7.4. Variation of pH is very small. It is maintained within a normal narrow range, that is 7.38 to 7.42. pH of interstitial fluid is almost 0.5 unit below that of plasma. Now, what is acidosis? pH less than 7.38 is called acidosis. Life is threatened when pH is below 7.25. It causes CNS depression and coma. Death occurs when pH is less than 7. Alkalosis. pH is more than 7.42. Dangerous over 7.55. It causes neuromuscular hyperexcitability and tetany. Death usually occurs when pH is more than 7.6. Volatile and fixed acids are produced during our metabolism. Volatile acids are like carbonic acid and fixed acids are like lactate, keto acids, sulfuric acid and phosphoric acid. Metabolism produces nearly 20,000 milliequivalent of carbonic acid and 60 to 80 milliequivalent of fixed acids per day. Now, carbonic acid being volatile is eliminated by lungs as carbon dioxide, and fixed acids are buffered and later on H plus excreted by kidney. Buffers of body fluids. Buffers are first line defense against acid load. First line defense is blood buffers, second line defense is respiratory regulation and third line defense is renal regulation. Now some things about bicarbonate buffer system. It is the most important buffer system in plasma. It accounts 65% of buffering capacity in plasma, 40% in whole body. Base constituent bicarbonate is regulated by kidney, or it is the metabolic component, and acid part carbonic acid is under respiratory regulation. Most important is buffer system is this bicarbonate buffer system. presence of bicarbonate is relatively high. Components are under physiological control. Carbon dioxide by lungs, bicarbonate by kidney. Now, what is alkali reserve? Bicarbonate represents the alkali reserve. It has to be sufficiently high to meet this acid load. Under physiological circumstances, alkali reserve is of 20, and it is important to maintain the high buffering capacity. Next is phosphate buffer system. It is mainly intracellular. It is effective at a wide range of pH as it has many ionizable groups. pK value are different for both these ionizable groups. Next is protein buffer system. Buffering capacity of a protein depends on the pKa value of ionizable side chains. Most effective group is the histidine imidazole group, which pK value is 6.1. Now next is in the body 52% of buffer activity is in tissue cells and 6% is in RBC. Rest 43 is by extracellular buffers. In plasma and extracellular space, about 40% buffering action is by bicarbonate system. That means it is the most important buffer system. 1% is by proteins and 1% is by phosphate buffer. Now one thing we should remember about these buffers. Buffers acts quickly to respond to change in pH, but it cannot permanently eliminate the acids from the body. They are also unable to replenish the alkali reserve of the body. For final elimination of acids, respiratory and renal regulations are very essential. Now, some important points about respiratory regulation of pH. This is achieved by changing the PCO2 or carbonic acid level, that's the denominator of the equation, that is Hasselbalch-Henderson equation. Rate of respiration is controlled by the chemoreceptor in the respiratory center, and this is controlled by change in pH. When there is pH is low in plasma, that is acidosis occurs, respiratory rate is stimulated, resulting in elimination of carbon dioxide and lowering the H2CO3 level. Hemoglobin plays an important role in elimination of or transport of carbon dioxide. Hemoglobin serves to transport this carbon dioxide from tissue with minimal change in pH. It also serves to generate this bicarbonate or alkali reserve by activity of carbonic anhydrase. In lungs, during oxygenation, oxygen first binds with the hemoglobin and H plus is released. Now this H plus reacts with bicarbonate, which enters the erythrocytes by reversal of chloride shift. It combines with H plus, H2CO3 is formed. Now it is dissociated by carbonic anhydrase enzyme and carbon dioxide is eliminated. Activity of carbonic anhydrase increases in acidosis and decreases in alkalosis. Next is renal regulation of pH. Important function of kidney is to regulate pH of extracellular fluid. Normal urine pH is around 6. It is lower than extracellular fluid. This is called acidification of urine. Renal mechanism for regulation of pH are following. First one is excretion of hydrogen ion, next is reabsorption of bicarbonate, next excretion of titrable acid, and Finally, excretion of ammonium ion. Excretion of hydrogen ion and generation of bicarbonate. Mechanism is as follows. This process occurs in proximal convoluted tubules. Carbon dioxide first combines with H2O to form carbonic acid by carbonic anhydrase enzyme. Next, H2CO3 or carbonic acid is ionized to H plus and bicarbonate. H plus is secreted in tubular lumen. Sodium is reabsorbed. Sodium along with bicarbonate then reabsorbed in blood. There is next excretion of hydrogen ion, next generation of bicarbonate, and this mechanism helps to increase the alkali reserve. Next is reabsorption of bicarbonate. This is mainly to conserve base. Cells of proximal convoluted tubules have a sodium hydrogen exchanger. When sodium enters the tubular cells, hydrogen ion is secreted in the tubular lumen. H plus ion generated within the cell by the action of carbonic anhydrase enzyme. Now, this hydrogen ion secreted into the luminal fluid is required for reabsorption of filtered bicarbonate. Bicarbonate is filtered usually by glomerulus, and this is reabsorbed by proximal convoluted tubule. That's why usually in urine we does not get bicarbonate. Now this bicarbonate combines with H plus in tubular fluid to form carbonic acid. This carbonic acid dissociates to carbon dioxide and water. Now this carbon dioxide again diffuses from the lumen to the tubular cells where it combines with H2O and it forms H2CO3 or carbonic acid. In cell, it again ionizes to H plus and secreted in lumen in exchange for sodium. That is, sodium is reabsorbed from tubular lumen to tubular cells along with bicarbonate. Hence, in this process, there is no net excretion of hydrogen or generation of new bicarbonate. Its function is to reabsorb the filtered bicarbonate mediated by sodium hydrogen exchanger. Next function of kidney is to excretion of H plus as titrable acid. In distal convoluted tubules, net acid secretion occurs. H plus ion secreted by distal tubules and collecting ducts by hydrogen ATPase pump. Hydrogen ion generated in tubular cells by carbonic anhydrase enzyme. Now this bicarbonate diffuses to plasma. What is titratable acidity of urine? It is number of milliliters of N by 10 sodium hydroxide required to titrate 1 liter of urine to pH 7.4. This is the measure of net acid excretion by kidney. Major titrable acid present in urine is sodium acid phosphate. As tubular fluid passes down the renal tubules, more and more H plus is secreted into the luminal fluid so that a pH falls steadily. Due to sodium to hydrogen exchange occurring at renal tubular cell border, disodium hydrogen phosphate, that is basic phosphate, is converted to sodium dihydrogen phosphate. As a result, pH decreases. This acid and basic phosphate pair is considered as urinary buffer. One thing we should remember that maximum limit of acidification is 4.5. Next important function of renal tubular cells or kidney is excretion of ammonium ions. It mainly occurs at distal convoluted tubules. It helps to excrete hydrogen ion and reabsorb bicarbonate ion. This mechanism also helps to trap H plus in urine. Excretion of ammonia helps in elimination of hydrogen ion, but there is no change of pH in urine. Glutaminase is the main enzyme that is present in tubular cells, which hydrolyze glutamine to ammonia and glutamic acid. Now, this ammonia diffuses from the tubular cells to luminal fluid. It combines with hydrogen ion and ammonium ion is formed. So, when there is acidosis, to neutralize this acidic effect, glutaminase activity in kidney increases. Ammonium ion accompanies negatively charged acid anion. As a result, sodium and potassium are conserved by this mechanism. Normally, 70 milliequivalent per liter acid is excreted daily, but when there is acidosis, this level goes up to 400 milliequivalent per day. Enhanced activity of this glutaminase enzyme and increased excretion of ammonia take about 3 to 4 days to start, but once it is started, it has high capacity to eliminate acids. Now, next we should remember that pH is interrelated with potassium ion balance. When there is increased H plus in extracellular fluid, body's defense mechanism, they exchange this hydrogen ion with potassium from within the cells. As a result, potassium comes out in the extracellular fluid and potassium level in plasma or extracellular fluid increases. That means acidosis is associated with hyperkalemia. But in renal tubular acidosis, there is failure to excrete hydrogen ion, so potassium is lost in urine. So in renal tubular acidosis, there will be hypokalemia. Next topic is disturbance in acid-base balance. As we all know, acidosis is a clinical condition where acids accumulates or bases are lost. Alkalosis is a clinical condition where bases are accumulated or acids are lost. Acidosis may be of respiratory acidosis or metabolic acidosis. In respiratory acidosis, there is increased carbonic acid, and in metabolic acidosis, there is decreased bicarbonate. In alkalosis, it may be also of two types, respiratory or metabolic. In respiratory, there is decreased carbonic acid, and in metabolic, there is increased bicarbonate level. Now, we should check acid-base parameters in patient with any serious illness, multi-organ failure, respiratory failure, cardiac failure, uncontrolled diabetes mellitus, or in case of poisoning by barbiturates and ethylene glycol. Steps to clinical assessment of acid-base disorders. We should assess pH. We should measure serum bicarbonate level. We should also measure partial pressure of carbon dioxide, assess anion gap, and also change in serum anion gap or bicarbonate level. Compensatory response. Each of the above disturbance will be followed by a compensatory change. Most important thing we should remember is that compensatory change is always in the same direction with primary change. That is, if primary change is in decreased bicarbonate, that means if it is metabolic acidosis, compensatory change will be also in decreased PCO2. If primary change is in increased bicarbonate level, secondary change will be increase in partial pressure of carbon dioxide. Now, next is anion gap. What is anion gap? Actually, sum of cations and anions in extracellular fluid is always equal to maintain electrical neutrality. Sodium and potassium together accounts for 95% of cations, whereas chloride and bicarbonate accounts for 86% of the anions. Hence, there is a difference between cation and anion measured. This unmeasured anion is known as anion gap. Anion gap is calculated by adding sodium and potassium level and subtracting total amount of bicarbonate and chloride level from this. Normal is 12 millimole per liter. Now, some causes of high anion gap metabolic acidosis. When anion gap is between 15 to 20, it is reliable index of accumulation of acid anions. What are the causes? Causes are renal failure, diabetic ketoacidosis and lactic acidosis. Here we should remember that normal value of lactic acid is less than 2 millimole per liter. Now some causes of normal anion gap metabolic acidosis. One is diarrhea, next hyperchloremic acidosis and renal tubular acidosis. Now metabolic alkalosis. Primary defect is excess of bicarbonate. Some causes severe vomiting or gastric aspiration, hyperaldosteronism. Respiratory acidosis. Primary excess of carbonic acid is the main culprit that causes respiratory acidosis. Causes are bronchopneumonia, status asthmaticus, sedative or narcotic overdose and chronic obstructive lung disease. Next is respiratory alkalosis. Primary deficient of carbonic acid causes respiratory alkalosis. What are the causes? Causes are, it may be hysterical, rise in intracranial pressure or brainstem injury. Early stages of salicylate poisoning also causes respiratory alkalosis. Pneumonia, pulmonary embolism also causes respiratory alkalosis. So, we here ends with the topic pH and acid-base balance disorder. Thank you.